how can games be understood at a glance? And he's using this as an example. I have to be honest with you guys. I do not understand what this means right here. I know that this is a tank. This is probably an enemy. These are like some energy things. But at a glance, I still have to use my brain a lot to figure out what this means. And this is totally not legible. Well, okay, well, this is lava. I'm pretty sure if you... Maybe you can't even go in there. But if you fall in there, you're most likely dead. So yeah, stuff like that. But I wanted to pose a question for anyone that's watching this on YouTube. I want you to... And let me place Tangerine properly so it's on the left. I've made an upgrade menu for my Tangerines. And it is quite cluttered. There's a lot of stuff that is displayed right here. But this right now is the latest version of the menu. And I would like to know, if you're watching this on YouTube, what do you think this is? Can you understand the functionality of this upgrade menu? I'm gonna have a little bit of the abilities and stuff right here. And... Well, what are your thoughts? Like, what is this supposed to do? Because I don't want to tell you what it is. I would like to gather some feedback. So if someone that's watching this on YouTube would be so kind to write, you know, what they think this is, would be amazing. And now I'm gonna show you the old menu. I still have that in the game. I didn't delete it yet. Oh, sorry guys, I missed a lot of messages on YouTube. They just all popped up. Hello, Cakez 77. Long time since I was here. How's your progress on the switching to Unity? What are you talking about, Toxic Champion? I never switched to Unity. How did you define the tasks when started making the game? I didn't define the tasks. I was following my gut instinct on what to work on every day. So usually there's a glaring issue that takes priority, but sometimes I would also be lazy by working on the same thing for multiple days. So I would start working on, let's say, pixel art instead of coding, because it was easing my mind and I could relax and regain energy to work on the big task that was obviously had to be done. And that usually was when I was rewriting my renderer or fixing a huge bug in a game that took multiple weeks to change, so that it would no longer happen. And I sound like I'm almost dying right now, which is awesome. Okay, let's just work on it. Whatever. So this is the old menu that I had before. And now, without going into detail about what it is, can you tell me, compared to the first menu, they are a little bit similar, but also a lot of changed. What is this supposed to do? Like, can you tell what this means? Because most people, the reason why I had to change this menu is because most people got confused by the menu. And now, since we are done, switching back to the old menu, I'm going to explain here first. It is supposed to be a menu where you can upgrade weapons and equipment and abilities to be put on the character. So you found a weapon, you can equip that by paying 120 oranges on the character. Now the character has the weapon, and he can use it to attack, increasing his stats. And if you go back to the very beginning, before you trained the weapon, before you bought the weapon, it says that you get 8% attack speed and 100 armor piercing. Now, what does that mean? It's really difficult to tell because you don't really know what you're comparing this against, right? So I decided to change this menu in a way to make it more intuitive. And I think I achieved that, but I would like to extend my knowledge by looking at, well, maybe someone that is smarter than me, that knows how to make more intuitive games. And that brings us to this video right here. It's 25 minutes. And if there are parts that are not that interesting, we're gonna skip over them because it's a very, very, very long video. So we are interested in
a bunch of games that can be understood at a glance. I'm Cakez.
Building games that can be understood at a glance by Cakez or Gage. Cage or Gage? Gage, I guess.
This is building games that can be understood at a glance. If you're not familiar with my work, I've made a bunch of games that you may or may not have played, like Flip Flop Solitaire, Type Shift, Really Bad Chess, Sage Solitaire, Tharsis, Ridiculous Fishing,
Gage, yeah.
Spell Tower, Lose Lose, and a couple.
These are all 2D games, huh? Or maybe this is the 3D
Sage
game.
Solitaire, Tharsis.
So are these Flash games? Like, I'm always wondering, like, do these...
Flip-flop solitaire, type shift.
It's got to be Flash games, right?
Sage solitaire.
That's another solitaire, I guess?
Tharsis, ridiculous fishing, spell power, lose-lose.
Tutorial games? Could be Tharsis. Tharsis game. Is that on Steam? Oh, wow. This guy, mostly positive. Not the best game. Bro, you telling me this is intuitive? Huh? Injury. Repair. Crew in module. Class. Required. 1 die to crew in module. Bro, I'm gonna be honest. Bruh. Finish deployment. You're telling me this is intuitive? Research projects? So if I get a 3 and a 6, I can research again? It's a lot of text, yeah. It's just a lot of text. I mean, maybe this was one of his projects where he learned from, right? The UI is really busy, yeah. And it also feels like it's like there's so much screen space that's not being used. It's like all clamped in the middle. Show us the game price. 15 euros, that's fine. Oh wow, this guy made a lot of money. This guy, sorry. This guy made a lot of money with this. Crazy. Okay.
And a couple others.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Anyway, I've been making games for quite a while on the phone, almost since the beginning of the iPhone, actually. And one thing that really struck me very early on was how different the experience of finding new games for the phone was versus other platforms.
I hope he's not talking about phone games.
Mostly how I was finding new games was by looking over people's shoulders. So over my friend's shoulder at a bar, over a stranger's shoulder on the subway, or at what the person next to me on an airplane was playing. Sometimes I get really into the game and I'd start playing it in my head and I would start like critiquing the actions of the person quietly to myself. Whenever I started doing this,
you basically tell them in your mind that they are a terrible gamer and you could do it 10 times better, but you're not telling that them because you don't want to hurt their feelings. But that's what you're thinking. I do that watching you. So Twitch chat. Okay, bro.
One thing I noticed is I'd want to download the game myself.
Arsler, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find better words, but it's really difficult. I'm sorry, Cakez. Sorry, Cakez. I'm working on it, okay? Listen, I had a daughter recently. I need to change my tone. I'm trying to find better words. Don't use the R word, yeah. I'm trying to not curse too much because of my daughter, yeah. So it's a learning curve, learning experience for me, of course.
The name of the game was on the screen, so I could just...
This guy is... What would you say, though?
Write it down. And other times, I'd have to ask, and...
This guy's an absolute loser goober who doesn't even know how to play games. I would do it 10 times better.
People were always really excited to tell me what the game was like and why they loved it, so I ended up asking a lot. And as I started making more and more mobile games, I really wanted to build games that could do this for other people, that could sell themselves to strangers who are looking over other people's shoulders.
Free time development. Thank you very much for the raids. Welcome, guys.
That's kind of a mouthful.
We're learning about intuitive games. Maybe you should watch that too. We are the biggest GDC watchers on the planet Earth, you know. Before I even started making games, I already knew what to do because I watched all of the GDC talks. I'm a GDC walking library. That's what I am, okay? Because the more GDC talks you watch, the better you are in making games, right?
Like a strategy, so I'm just going to call it, my friend Kevin proposed calling it Subway Legible
Games.
That's how it works. Because we both live in New York, so that's what I'm going to call it.
Yo.
Okay, so obviously one caveat for this talk is nothing that anyone tells you is going to be the one thing that makes you successful or not successful. But I do think that finding success with your games relies upon having a lot of little tricks that really fix as best you can. And the reason why it's a powerful tool is that it affects games.
Okay, let's see.
Tutorials a whole lot less.
So he means it's easier for tutorials because we can read better. Okay. Is that correct? I think tutorials are must-have even on games that are very easy to read. And tutorials are basically called staggering game mechanics. So for example, when you start the game, You don't start with the entire menu unlocked. Reset game. No, reset game, bro. You just start with one of these. Maybe you don't even show the entire menu, but you just start with one. Instead of showing the entire thing. Which I don't do properly yet, but, you know, that could be something that you should do.
Less work. Your game is easier to comprehend naturally because you're presenting information and game state in a way that is designed to be naturally accessible to people who are playing the game. This means when you sit down to make your tutorial, which probably, if you've done it, you would agree is the absolute worst part of making a video game, half the work is already done for you. And having a better...
I think making a tutorial is just... I think making a tutorial is one of the most important aspects of a game, because you want to make a tutorial that does not come off as a tutorial, because then people will just enjoy the game and don't think they are being handheld.
Tutorial means more people will enjoy your game across any kind of skill level, and so that's great. 2, it improves organic discovery. When your game is good at teaching other people to play, it'll draw in more viewers, and every player and every streamer of your game can focus on conveying how awesome your game is instead of explaining to everyone over and over again how the game works.
Yeah, that's true though. Having to explain the game sucks. Yeah.
3, easier marketing. Your screenshots and your GIFs will need little to no context, and that makes pitching for coverage or going on viral on Twitter way easier. People say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but that's only true if people can understand what your picture is about.
You don't do that.
So you're probably thinking, all right, Zach, it's so easy to make indie games, or to make Subway legible games when you make these tiny little mobile games. What about my big fancy PC game?
What is this guy talking about? It's so much easier to make a viral clip of a 3D game than for a 2D mobile game. What is this guy talking about? It's even wrong. I've had so much issues making good clips for my game because it's a stationary tower defense game. There's nothing happening, bro. You're literally just killing waves of enemies that are coming in. It doesn't get any more boring and stale than that, bro. Literally just walking around in a 2D world is more entertaining than having a stationary world. It's crazy.
Is that even possible? Yes.
Cakez, let the professionals speak. Wow. Wow. You're banned. See you in 2 minutes. There we go.
This is a screenshot of Into the Breach, which mostly everybody regards as a...
Okay, so this guy thinks this is intuitive. Okay, this is a house. It's like an office building. These are enemies, aliens, I guess. And these are your troops. And I guess the people in the troops are those. They're in the machines. And you can... This guy... Like, I don't understand the red parts here. And the dots between them doesn't make any sense either. The dots between them. Looks like this guy's walking here. Or something. Then someone spilled the trash accidentally. And this thing right here, the enemy here, is currently attacking these buildings because they are red. And this is under attack too by this bee right here. And this looks like this guy is going to attack him right here. And then it has a power grid. I don't know what that means. Power grid, energy. Enemy routed. It's a lot of stuff at a first glance, but I guess that's what it is. Weird houses, to be honest. I'd make them for generators. I thought it was generators too, yeah. Okay. I was totally going to sub before, but no, after timing out Ace, I don't think I will anymore. That's fine, bro.
Brilliant tactical strategy game, and I regard as an incredible example of information organization and UI design. The screenshot is one that went around Twitter before the game came out, and I think if we look at it, we can figure out why pretty easily. If anyone looking
So he's saying that this went viral on Twitter. This picture.
Is it difficult to make animations on custom engine?
No.
Am I so out of touch? No.
But I'm only horny for Luigi is gifting 1 sub to the community.
Oh man, thank you. Mr. Spacefit, thank you very much for gifting a sub too. Smiling big. Okay, let's move on here.
This can immediately tell that it involves huge mechs and giant city-sized bugs.
I'm telling you, if I'm posting this clip on Twitter, it's not gonna go viral. I don't see anything that goes viral. I didn't even talk about the explosion here. I guess that's a building dying. Huh? If not, I just don't see anything viral about this here.
The word
Maybe it triggers the Command and Conquer guys or something?
mech is literally written on the screen.
Good games go viral. What is good about this game? What is making it go viral?
You have a bunch of units. These bugs are doing something bad.
Okay, Faster Than Light had already come out. They had a following. That's why it went viral. So this guy's not even... See, that's what I mean. He's leaving out context that is important. What is the game called, guys? What is this game called? Into the Breach. Into the Breach. Sorry, guys. Into the Breach and Subset Games. They have 19,000 followers and they had Faster Than Light before this. Okay, bro. Okay. Where's the link to Twitter? Can't you... About? Sorry about this. Subset Games website, maybe here. And then they've got to have Twitter. There we go, at the top here. 28,000 followers. It's fine, I guess. That's fine. I would love to see the post, but I guess you can't, right? I don't know, man. Like, he's leaving out context that makes this go more viral, unless, like, comparatively to a solo indie game developer that doesn't have a following, that is making the game for the first time, and that is just posting a clip on Twitter hoping to gain some traction to the game. I don't know. I think he should have mentioned this.
Things are exciting and literally on fire. The kind of tile you're standing on has a tactical effect, maybe like Advance Wars, and it's science fiction and it involves time pods, which is actually written on the screen also. These guys are geniuses.
Time pods. I don't even see time pods, bro. Where does it say time pods? This guy's lying. Hey, can someone see right there? Upper right. Bonus objectives, kill enemies, protect enemies. Protect the time pod. Oh, I see. Thank you. Yeah, it's right here. Okay.
That sounds pretty exciting to me, and I can already imagine what the game is like.
Not really for me.
How'd they make all that so clear? So some of the things I cover in this talk might seem unbelievably obvious.
Okay.
But I find that the best design for you to break the college stuff, so that way, the easiest way to understand the 3 reads is by thinking about a concert poster. Imagine you're making a poster for some event that you're going to throw. Let's think about how posters are experienced. Yeah. Generally, we see them on the street, and that means that the audience that a poster can greet is primarily limited by how far away you can actually read the poster. A poster that can only be read from 10 feet away is going to reach a lot less people than a poster that can be read by 30 feet away.
100% true. 100% true. What I do when I make thumbnails for my game is I make them really small. Can I still see what the video is about when I make it small? This is very legible, shows a 3D game. This is not that legible. You can't really tell what's going on here. You can see that there's a tower, but otherwise, what is this? There's just a Steam logo. Can't really tell what's going on here. Terrible thumbnail. This is a bit better. You can tell what's going on here. Nice. Difficult to tell. Difficult to tell. So this holds true. And you should do this for games too. Interesting. Okay.
Promise I will get to how this affects games. That means we want to have the text on our poster be big, but we don't want all of it to be big, because if it was all big, that'd be really confusing, and we'd barely be able to put anything on the poster. So what should be big? Probably the things that would convince people to walk closer to the poster. So essentially, we're trying to design...
Yeah, so we need to make something big that people can see, that grabs people's attention. Makes sense. Oh, I see. So if we zoom out... I want to make a thought experiment here. Let's not spend too much time on this, but Valheim. Images. Can I open this in a new tab? Can I zoom out? The fire. It's the fire. Boy, that's amazing. Damn. Let's see. Tangy defense. I mean, let's make it a bit bigger comparatively. This one, I'm looking at this one here. Yeah. What do you see here? The road. Contrast between orange and the road. Good stuff. This one seems more color intense, by the way. But yeah, very good experiment. I see their game title, but not yours. My game title is... Okay, we can use a different image. And I need to remove the rats. You can see the game title, but the rats make it... I need to remove the rats and maybe make the road a little bit lighter. Okay, the rats make it confusing. Okay, let's continue.
Poster that's going to pitch itself to people passing by. So first things first, who's performing? In our example, David Bowie, rest in peace. There's our target market. If you like David Bowie, you're going to walk close.
Bro, it's literally just a giant font. It works. It works on YouTube. I don't even know who this is, but it does work on YouTube, yeah. Like you put a character of a game on the YouTube thumbnail, and then you put scam in there. Or you put it's over. Or you put in I can't believe it. Like some text and the character of the game, done. Very easy. It's literally that easy.
There's the poster. If you don't like David Bowie, I don't really care about you. So that's the first read. The first thing that people see when they look at the poster, and it's meant to draw in the people that you want to talk to. The second read is for people who have approached the poster and are now looking for more information. We don't really have to worry so much now.
But here's the problem. If you add in too much information here, then the first read gets weaker because you could remove the contrast and make it more cluttered. That's really difficult to do. Very easy to do, but difficult to fix.
About the size of the text, we can make the text smaller because people are close to the poster. So this is what would be in the second read.
Oh my, no one would read that. I just don't see this, but...
when is this happening? Where is this happening? What kind of show is he going to be performing? So hopefully now the viewer is interested. They like the...
Bro, 1973, that might have worked then, but today we're living in the 21st century, brother. Like, this is when Napoleon was still alive, bro. You can't take this as an example of today, bro. What is this guy talking about?
On Tuesday, we can make it to the third read, which is where we tell you how much it costs, remind you of the address, specify the time, and throw in all...
It looks like barcode instead of text, yes.
Little extra details that we need.
There was only one poster up in the town. Yeah, true. They only had one poster board. Like, what are these things called? True.
He actually cares about, like, who's presenting the show. No offense if you're a show presenter.
This is too cluttered.
That's the whole thing. That was pretty simple.
That's too cluttered. This is a bad example. Sorry. That's a bad example. I have to say it. It's bad. I'm gonna use my own picture as an example. Or Valheim. Zoomed out like this. What can you see? The fire. You can see the text, Valheim. You can see the background. You can barely see the character. You can't read the text. Yeah, you can't read the text, exactly. Let's approach the thing. What do we see now? We see two bearded characters with brown hair. With Viking-type clothing. We see a spear. We see a rock. We see a shield more clearly. You could see the shield from far away too. By the way, the shield was visible. So that was already visible. You see grass, and I think... Oh my god! Where was I? So yeah, and I think back here, this is an animal. But I don't know 100% sure. So... they didn't add that many details, like a bunch of more text. When does the game come out? What's the game about? No, they just use visual cues. Which I think is a much better example, but it's still the same idea. This is a bad example, I think.
Alright, talk over. So this kind of design structure works not just for rock posters, but it also works for video games.
It works for everything.
Back to that screenshot.
YouTube thumbnails.
What draws our eye first in this screenshot? The giant grid. It feels a little bit like Advance Wars. It has clearly looks like a player-controlled unit. Something's on fire. There's a bunch of bugs. What do we see next? whoa, look at all these things to think about. It's turn-based, I have 3 people, my health...
How do you know it's turn-based? Because it says end turn. Okay.
Seems to be the...
I didn't even know that. I didn't even see this. You don't see the grid? I do see the grid, yeah. You're right, though. Yeah.
I have to survive 4 turns. I have a mech, and it looks like depending on where I place my units, there are special tile effects. So, wow, it is going to be like Advance Wars, maybe. And then on to the 3rd read. Oh, my unit...
I don't understand what this means at all. Like, it looks like these... it looks like these enemies are attacking the red tiles. That's what I think it is. Let's see. He's making it out so easy. It's not that easy.
Units have health too, and there are bonus objectives. And look at all this crunchy...
Bonus objectives you see from this? The red tiles? What are you talking about, bro? Huh? He's not even going into detail about this.
Tactical data and also time pods.
Bro, top right? I can't even read this. Enemy pictured in 4 turns. Enemy procured. I can't even read this. What does this say? Something in 4 turns. Routed? Enemy routed. Whatever that means. What does routed mean? Guys, sorry, but this is completely... Guys, am I stupid? Routed, driven away. Enemies are driven away? That's called routed? Yes, you are. Okay. I still don't know why the bottom right there's a clown. Okay, you're banned. Literally says bonus objectives there. I see. Yeah, I mean, it's text, but okay, yeah. This is like selling a book on how to make money. People try to organize how something succeeded when the life has a million factors. Yeah, I guess it is. I would have loved to see, like, him explaining more why it is easy to read, not just saying that it is easy to read. But maybe he goes more into this, because we're spending too much time.
The screenshot takes you from, hey, this is like Advance Wars, all the way through to, wow, this is so much more exciting than Advance Wars.
No.
Just by how the information is laid out.
No.
So obviously this kind of clarity can help with your promotion, but how does it also help us make better tutorials and improve word of mouth? So something you might...
It's not hate watching. I'm just pointing holes. I'm just poking holes into his description. It's not easy to read. I've played Into the Breach. The game has mechanics that are not evident from a screenshot. The whole talk is wishful thinking. Guys, we need to be very... How do you say that in English? Oh, man. We need to be very... Not critical. Thank you very much, who am I? Yeah, we need to be critical about this, because if you just take everything at face value, then, bro, that's not how you learn, man.
Be familiar with from making tutorials is that generally when you teach something new, you want to introduce the rules in a specific order. So
yeah, but there's multiple ways to teach someone. You can teach someone with text like balloons. You can teach someone by showing them what happens. You can teach someone by having them click through a tutorial before they play the game. There's so many different ways. So what is he going to say?
The players can build a mental model of how the game works, starting from the broad strokes and then moving inwards towards more specific rules. Huh. It actually sounds a lot like how the 3 reads works. The first read pulls you in, and that's the core of your game.
Okay, don't care about this. Don't care about this. Show me some actual examples.
So in Spell Tower, you're trying to keep stacks of letters from reaching the top of the board, and you do this by spelling words that removes the blocks, and then more stuff gets added from...
Bro, what? So I've never seen this game, and I'm supposed to understand this at a first glance. How do I win? So they keep growing from the bottom, I guess. And I guess I spell Oya seal, or do I spell words that happen here? Do these individually grow? You just type what you see. So I type Tangy. Tangy defense. Oh my god, this guy knows about Tangy TD already in the screenshot from multiple years ago. Cone, bottom right. Cone, yeah. Okay, pot. Okay, so you do pot, then it removes. Okay, I get it. I wonder what these are. They are not explained at all. So you have to explain them visually, I guess. If you remove the Q somehow, maybe it causes an explosion. Higher scoring letters. I see. And the black ones? They're empty? You can't remove them? Which means at some point it's fragmented and you lost. So, okay. How is this? Listen, man, we had to figure this out with like 3 people. Okay.
On the bottom, let's look at the 3 reads here. First thing we want players to see is just the letters. They need to look at the letters and think about what words they can spell.
I'm not thinking about what words I can spell. I'm thinking about why is there different columns of letters. That's what I'm thinking first, bro. I'm not thinking, oh, what words can I spell here? And also, I don't even know the spelling direction. Do I spell vertically or horizontally? A screenshot is not gonna teach that to me. Now, I could make a guess, an educated guess, but it's not clear because there's no direction captured in the screenshot. However, I guess the direction is up because this is the only empty space. Though, could be that, right? The direction is up because that's the empty space.
When you're comfortable finding letters, you need to think about which columns are close to getting to the top and which letters are special and extra helpful for reducing the height of your stacks, like the blue letters will reduce a whole row. And then finally, on the 3rd read, letters will reduce a whole top, and which letters are special and extra helpful for reducing the height of your stacks, like the blue letters will reduce a whole row.
The blue letters will reduce a whole row. Okay, that's not communicated at all. That's probably only communicated by gameplay. You can only communicate that.
And then finally, on the 3rd read is the information that only contextually matters. Things like what your high score is, which tiles can be used, and which ones need to be in at least 4 length words. The layout reinforces how to approach the game, both for the player, but it also reinforces it for every single person who ever looks at the game over their shoulder. Okay, that's it for how to do the 3 reads.
Is this Slay the Spire?
Properly, and before we move on to advanced concepts, I do want to take a quick look at what this can look like when it goes wrong. This is Slay the Spire. This is a game I enjoy.
Bro, what do you mean it goes wrong? Let's try to figure out what the game is about. And this guy's calling out Slay the Spire? Okay, bro, let's go. Mega Crit, that's the name of the character. The life is easily readable. Then you have some sort of money right here. That crystal I do not understand because I didn't play the game. There's way too many icons for me to make out. Absolutely no idea what this is. The HP is obvious. Now, it's not obvious which one is your character. I'm assuming that's me, but it could also be this one right here. I have no idea. Usually the fighting direction is from left to right though. So I've never played the game, which is perfect. So this is my power. I can spend power using the cards. These are my cards. Maybe there's only 2 cards left, or these are my cards. And there's 14 cards left. And then this is the discard pile. I don't know exactly. One of them is the discard pile. It's so much easier to read. What you talking about? The only thing that I don't understand is that me? Or is that me? I don't know. I am on the left, yeah? Okay. So the only thing that is not explained is this. This is explained. This is so much cleaner. What's this guy talking about? Huh? It's explained by playing. Yeah, sure, of course. But we're talking about games that explain by just looking at a screenshot. We're talking about intuitive games that explain themselves just by looking at a screenshot. That's the important part here. Because I'm trying to learn from visual cues on how to make my game better based on just someone seeing a screenshot of this. And I feel like that's a bit too much text. Doubloons. A single screenshot doesn't work when it's very late into a single run. Yeah, 33rd floor is probably very late, yeah. But still, it still needs to convey information, Afano. So, Okay, why is he saying this is going wrong here?
Quite a lot, and in fact, it's a game that a lot of people enjoy, and it's done really well for itself. So I don't feel terrible subjecting it to a little bit of constructive criticism. If you made this game and you're in the audience, thank you for making this. I really like it. Slay the Spire actually does a really great job teaching the player how to play it. It's got one of the best tutorials I've seen in a really long time. Every single thing on the screen tells you what it does when you mouse over it, and the way that all these concepts are
mouse over tooltips, already learned something. Yeah, we did that too, very important, okay.
Are given to you is at this perfect leisurely pace so that when you arrive at a screen like this, you understand every single thing that's going on. The problem is when someone starts watching over your shoulder, or more often with a PC game like this, when they start watching on Twitch, they might not know what's going on. So if you've never played Slay the Spire, you probably wouldn't guess that the most important information on the screen is actually these little icons. These icons, more than the health.
No, I noticed them, but I didn't think they are so important, yeah.
More than the armor, more than the cards in your hand,
she's not.
explain the current state of a battle. Not only are they tiny, but even if onlookers notice them, they have no idea what they mean. These should be in the second read, but they're in the third. On top of that, the screen has a lot of empty...
You cannot make them bigger because otherwise they are too big. Okay, he's saying that they should be in the second read, which I guess is... This is the second read. Or maybe this is the second read right here. You know, the cards is the second... the cards is the first read. The enemies and you yourself is the first read too. And the entire area, I guess. It's kind of desaturated and blurred out, so it's not that important. This is the second read right here, the deck. Stuff like that. And this is the third read. You can't put this as the second read. That's not how it works. And I don't even think, like, when I think about this now, let's say this is important. Why? To me, this is a detail in the game on how damage calculation and defense works. All I need to know is that I am fighting this dude right here and I need to win. I don't need to know what these things do. Why? Because I already know that I need to beat this guy. The details on how to beat this guy is not important. I think. I think he's wrong there. Could be wrong myself though. But I think the details just uncover itself when he's conflating two ideas, fully understanding the game state versus knowing what in general is happening. Yeah, like the second read is just should just show you the general idea. Go a bit deeper. You need to know so you can counter them. Yeah, but that's the... Listen, that's the mechanics of the game, the very state of the game, the detail of the game. It's like for my game, you need to know that, let's say, fire resistance is a great counter to fire damage. That's a detail of the game that you only need when you are playing the game and you are encountering someone that has high fire resistance. But that doesn't... You don't need to know that you're playing a tower defense game in which you can earn items. The items and the equipment, the power-ups, that's the second read. The third read is the details on how damage calculation works. I thought that was fire damage. Bro, what are you talking about? This is literally a fire icon with a shield right next to it, bro. Fire damage looks like this. Sorry. I hate that. Fire damage looks like this. It's a burning sword. I actually did, I'm not joking. Okay, so then that's tooltip explanatory, explained stuff here. Yeah, so my icons are not that clear, which can happen.
Space on it, but it still manages to look very busy. Nearly everything on the screen is a tiny icon with a little number on it. What are these things? And
yeah, I don't know.
How can you have something but have 0 of it?
Yeah.
And why is my health in 2 places and 2 different...
Well, I didn't even know that. But I mean, does it matter if it's in 2 places? I mean, it's the health. That's the important part, right?
Colors. And what are these...
Oh, I understand why now. I understand why the health is in 2 places. So that you can make the connection of, oh, that's me, that's the enemy. That's why it's in 2 places. If it's not in 2 places, then you're confusing left and right like I did. It's helping the player to understand that you are on the left, the enemy's on the right.
need numbers on them?
That's why it's the third read.
Cards just be shown by the size of the deck, and you might not know it from the presentation, but the one on the right is actually the discard pile. These aren't two separate decks, they're all the pieces of one. The problem isn't that all of this information is displayed, it's that it's displayed at relatively the same scale, and that the stuff that you really, really need is actually the smallest. Here's what the reads of Slay the Spire look like. First read, 2 characters, a hand of cards.
I think the first read is... I mean, can we make this small? How do I do this? Bro, I think the first read is the cards and these 2 dudes. You can't tell what this is. You won't be able to tell what this is and this is. This is not the first read. This one isn't either. These are just 2 buttons that you can't tell what they do. Chat, do you think I'm right? Type 1 if you think I'm right. The cards is a good first read, and you and the enemy too. But I don't think this is the first read here. I think this is the second read. The number of energy that you have, or crystals. The end turn is pretty large. Yeah, but you need to look at it like this. When it's this small. You can't zoom in too much, because then it becomes the second read. Yeah, I think the first read is cards plus card game plus dudes, yeah. And then the second read is those 2. I think so.
An end turn button and the mana. This is looking pretty good.
But I mean, that could be like that subjective, right?
So far. Second read is practically everything else. And third read is some small numbers and the all-important stats.
Yeah, the third read is the details of the game. The numbers of the game. For the nerds. Exactly. You don't need to know these numbers. You don't need to know. You need to know that you are going to defeat this guy.
Status icons under the health bars.
Yep.
So see how you can kind of barely tell the difference between the second and the third reads here?
Yeah.
That's a pretty big sign that something is really overloaded.
Yeah, it's a nerd
read. I want to
read.
remind you, I love this game. This is just constructive criticism.
So let's see how you would fix this.
And also, I want to remind you that this game does a great job mitigating a lot of this with really solid animations, which is actually what I want to talk about next. So hopefully by now you have a sense of what the first, second, and third read of something should look like. And now I want to cover designer. One of these options is using movement and animation to temporarily raise or lower. So pay attention when I run this video to the size changes and how your eye follows them.
I know exactly what's happening. This goes large, and then you can see how much it costs. And I don't know, this is the damage, and I guess this is the life. I didn't play this game. And I do not understand, but I guess you're putting it here or something. No, you just drew the card, okay. Then, yeah, I mean, you're playing this. Bro, that's just way too fast. Yeah, okay, I mean... You are attacking, yeah, I get it. Okay, yeah.
Is a constant wave of things being brought to your attention in the first read and then fading back into the second or third reads. It's really masterful, but it's also a lot to consider. If I was going to break this down the way that I broke down the Into the Breach screenshot, it would probably take this entire talk.
I mean, if you zoom out, you would see this and this right here first. The cards against each other. That's what you would see, and then you would see the 2 players. And then maybe the cards, but they're quite small.
So instead, I want to look at a much smaller example.
It's not speech recognition. What are you talking about, bro? Oh, bro. Yeah. You can't really see the cards, but you can see these 2 rows. And so that tells you you're fighting opponents.
Which is how I'm trying to solve a rules comprehension problem in my game TypeShift. This is what a puzzle looks like in TypeShift. Like in Spell Tower, your first read is the letters, your second is the tiles and the background, and your third is the menus and the minor decorative elements. A long-standing issue I've had here is that some players jump to the conclusion that your goal in a TypeShift puzzle is to find every single word in the puzzle, which makes sense, because that's how most word-finding puzzles work. But actually in Type...
I don't know how this works. So you're moving down individual letters to get a word here?
Shift, your goal is to use every letter at least one time. So I tried to make this clear in the tutorial by literally telling people, showing you that you're making a word turns your tiles bluish green, and that your goal.
So you're using text, yeah, to explain things, which makes people read, which is fine. But if we overuse it, then people get bored because it's too much text.
To turn them all green, but that wasn't good enough for many players.
Okay.
And the problem is that when the color tiles in this game are on the second read, and when they change color, it's just as players are finding a word, so you're a little distracted and you don't notice. And so players interpret the color change as a decorative event. So this is what it looks like when you find a word. I'm about to launch an attempted fix that uses animation to bring.
So wait, the moment you unlocked a word, okay,
Tile backdrops temporarily into the first read, and I'm doing that animation right after they find a word, so hopefully when they're not distracted by something else and focusing on something new. So that looks like this. It's a very small adjustment, animating the color change across the letters instead of having it pop in, but it reinforces the importance of the color as more than a decoration. It becomes an informational animation.
Okay.
And informational, that's not a real word. I never would have come to this change if I hadn't been considering the problem within the context of the 3 reads, and so we'll see when I launch it how it works out. Another thing you can do in a game that you can't in a poster is provide hidden toggled information, which I call the 4th read. In really bad chess, I needed to have a bunch of menus on.
Color information is simply wrong. You know what color I would use in this scenario? Green. Why do you use turquoise? Why don't you use green? Green is associated with I won. If you use color, why not green? Why turquoise? And then red for it being wrong. It is green. I guess you could say it's like, for me it's kind of turquoise, kind of green. I would use a more green if that makes sense. You know, green.
The 3 reads, and so we'll see. When a poster is provided hidden,
toggle to the 4th read.
To have a bunch of menus on the screen to allow you to use undos, check
That's just literally chest. Rank 50 moves 1. Okay. Daily.
Click the game, and those ended up looking like this. Unfortunately, those menus are horribly distracting.
They suck, yeah.
The problem is that in chess, the pieces are really small and they're really detailed. And so when you have big graphical elements on the screen, it's very easy for them to overwhelm these tiny little pieces on the board.
Yeah, true.
So to solve this, I made it so that whenever you tap away from the menus, whenever you're focusing on the game, all of those menus slide out of the 1st read and into this sort of toggled 4th read. And now if you look at it, the board and the mode are squarely in the
That's not a solution, bro.
1st read. They're the things that your eye goes
I would use buttons for undo. Like icons.
right to, and everything else looks pretty balanced. And if you tap up on the menu area, the menus...
Like you can do undo, and then the menu could be like 3 dots icon, and scores should be... That could be a pokal in English. Guys, what is a pokal in English? Pokal. Let me Google that. Pokal? Cup? Could be a cup trophy, yeah. Like I would use icons. And then undo, I would still make the font smaller for undo, but put a button there. I don't know, man. I feel like sliding these menus in is not a solution.
Come in, and now they're in the 1st read, but that's totally fine because they're what you're looking at and what you're looking for, and it's always all right to have that in the 1st read. And everything feels very natural. Okay, the last thing that I want to look at, well, I got through this pretty quick, is my game Sage Solitaire, which is probably the most include a lot of, I think, a total mess. The 1st read is the cards, and that's...
We have cards. Huh? Why don't you use the traditional... Why is he not using the traditional icons for cards? So 4 would be 4 hearts. 7 would be 7 peak in English. Oh no, it's not peak. Kreuz. This is peak. This is Karo. I don't know what these are called, guys, in English. I literally only played cards in German. This is heart. Clubs? Yeah, I don't know. I've not grown up with this in English. Absolutely not. Why don't you do this, do that? Yeah, that's true though.
Great, but read 2.
Focus on yourself. Yeah, I'll do that in like 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes, so about 17 minutes. There you go. See you later. Wait, we also want the sound effect for that, of course, right? Here you go.
Is basically everything up top. The name of the hand, the decorative stack of cards, the bonus suit, the trashes, everything blends together. The problem is that most of these things shouldn't even be in the second read. The stack of cards is just a decoration element, basically. The bonus suit is important, but you only need it sometimes. And the trashes are also important, but also not important all the time. Worse.
If this is solitaire, I don't remember how that works. Like, what do you need to do? You have 3 of the same in the same... Okay.
There's actually something up there that you do need to know constantly, and that is the name of the hand that you're trying to score and how much it's worth.
Full house?
If you didn't know how to play this game, looking at the screen...
Oh, I see. So I'm trying to get a full house. Yeah, what I would do is... Full house, 18 points, and I would show an example of the full house that you need to score.
Shot would not teach you how to do it. It wouldn't tell you what was important. It wouldn't really tell you anything.
I would show an example full house.
So my solution was to break the screen down into a big play area that has the first and second reads in it, and then a small side area that has all the third read information. So let's break it down. First thing you see is the card.
I would still change the cards to be the actual cards, how it is in real life, where you have 4 of these here, then 7 of these here, 3 of these here. It just makes it easier to make these out to be cards. If not, then all you're seeing is a big number. I think the icons say more about it than the number itself. Hey, Closure Destroyer, my man. Good morning, Schnitzel guy. Good morning.
The second is the name of the hand and the cash in button. And then last, you see the trashes, the suit, the split.
I would make a small version of Full House visually, because some people don't know what a Full House is. And I don't know what that is. Like, why are there 2 trashes? Remaining trashes? I would just put a number there. 2x, and then show one icon.
Or a hint button and your used card pile. Nicely out of the way. There's also a little bit of a kind of trick in this layout, and that is normally it would be sort of an issue.
She's gone. Bitte.
If the things that were taking up the entirety of your second read were contextually visible. So right now, the cash in button and the name of the hand, where do those go when you don't have a hand selected? Does that ruin the layout? Does it make it confusing that there would be no second read? Well, so actually, I don't get rid of both of them. And I use one very deliberately as the only thing in the second read. And that is I leave the hand button and I just change the text to tap for hand list. That's the only thing in the second read in this entire screen. And the reason I did that was very intentional. And it was that even... Hey
guys, you know what this is? This is a tutorial on how to design UI.
Even though Sage Solitaire
Which is the most boring thing in game development ever, man. Oh my god.
Game, it's just very different than solitaire games. Usually in solitaire, you're trying to make piles and move cards around in piles, but Sage is all about making poker hands. And that's very irregular for a poker game or for a solitaire game, and it does a couple things. One, you'd never expect it if you were looking over someone's shoulder, and 2, if you are a solitaire person, you might not even know the poker hands. And so leaving this big piece of information as the only thing in the second read guides everybody who's looking at it, so to that piece of information, and it tells them, A, this is a game about making hands, and B, if you are literally playing it and you don't know the hands, here's a giant button that you can press that's going to help you. I think it's very easy to look at this layout and be tempted to make the hand list a small button that sits off to the side. But if I'd done that, it wouldn't have helped people look.
To be honest, I don't even, like, listen, I'm being very critical here. I do understand this, but I don't understand, Like this hand list is supposed to give me a list of possible hands to play using these cards to earn more points. Okay.
Looking over his shoulder, and it wouldn't have helped normal solitaire players feel more confident and able to play this game.
Okay.
So there you go. That wasn't so bad. Let's recap. You have 3 standard reads and key details.
Yeah, 3 reads.
Really important rule. Ability to move things up and down. You get subway legibility.
So basically the 3 reads, and then you can use animation to turn a second read into a first read, and so forth. Yeah. Video done. Yeah.
They're on Twitch and they get it. A GIF.
I think the biggest part about the video, and I'm not gonna watch the QA. Unless, is there some good information in the QA? Let's speed through this.
And while we're waiting for folks to come up, we're designing trailers.
Oh boy. I definitely think in general you want to approach a trailer fairly similarly. You want to have the thing right at the start that's going to draw people in, and as your trailer progresses you can get more and more detailed about what's going on. I actually think maybe almost more important than that is just keep your trailer short. Your trailer
30-second trailer, yeah. Like not too much more, though it depends. I've also seen like a 2-minute trailer on Thronefall. You see this, guys? You see this, guys? Thronefall trailer on Steam is very long, actually. 2 minutes. And what he's doing here, you might not be able to tell, because it's very quiet.
This is you riding into battle. During the day you build up your economy and defenses on predefined build slots. At night you try to protect your realm at all costs. Thronefall is a minimalist strategy game about building and defending your little king.
So, keeping it short, just showing the game mechanics is fine, but you could also make a video like this. So it always depends. I think what you need to do is showcase your game mechanics in these. What make your game special and what is the player gonna do most of the time. And then you explain a little bit more. I'm gonna probably try to do a trailer like this too. For my game, because I think it's easier. 19,000 reviews. Yeah, this guy's farming. So there's no one size fits all for this.
shouldn't be more than a minute.
Bloons has a 30-second trailer, by the way, so it both work.
And most people will turn off a trailer after like 10 seconds. So if you don't hit them right in the face with something that's really compelling,
that's true, though.
That's probably not good for you. But one thing that
the first 5 seconds of your trailer is the most important, and then after that it gets less and less important. So the first 5 seconds. Let's look at the first 5 seconds of Thronefall again. We just watched 13 seconds. Let's see.
This is you riding into battle. During the day you build up your economy and defenses on predefined build slots. At night you try to
7 seconds currently, and you see the build up and the defense in the first 10 seconds. Build up, defense.
protect
That's what
your
you
realm
do.
at all costs.
10 seconds, yeah. Build up, defense. So that's really important.
What's nice about doing a trailer, even though it's incredibly annoying unless you love making trailers, is that it really helps you refine what your pitch is going to be, because your pitch to most press and most of Twitter is actually the same.
If your game is good, show it off and make it long. If it's bad, show as little as possible. Yeah, that's what AAA does, bro.
Same.
That's why AAA has so many of those, what is this called, man? God damn it. That's why AAA has so many of these, what is this called? The cinematic things. Oh my god, I know the word. CGI. Yeah. That's why AAA uses so much CGI. No, it's not called CGI, isn't it? Yeah, CGI trailers.
As the beginning of a trailer, your first 30 seconds of a trailer should show what your game's about, why it's special, and how it works.
You think that's why in Hollywood trailers these days they do that mini trailer thing at the start where there's like a whole bunch of action? Have you seen that? Where
Don't use Hollywood, man. Like, it's a terrible example.
Oh, yeah.
Really quick snippets of what's going to be in the rest of the trailer, because that's like showing.
I hate that. I hate trailers for video for movies. For movies, because they spoil the movie. I hate that. I don't like watching trailers for movies. Absolutely not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So my question is about, let's say, in like specifically, I work in arcade games mostly, but this is probably true in the App Store too, where like everyone's trying to get your attention. Everything's trying to be as loud as possible to be, you know, grabbing the player's attention. And do you have any tricks for being subway legible in the context of also competing with the flashbang of all the other games in the market that are around? Is there anything that you found kind of grabs attention without being overwhelming?
Sure. I think the first thing that you need to think about, at least I can speak to the context of the App Store, is that most people actually don't understand how the App Store works, and they don't approach the marketing in the App Store in the way that it's going to make the most of it.
I think this is mostly about mobile games, to be honest, but okay.
And if you do that, that kind of puts you on another level already. That is very helpful. So the thing that you need to understand, at least about the App Store, is you need to sit down and look at like, what are the pieces of information that people are going to get right away, and how do I use that information just good enough to be able to get them to the next piece of information. So in the App Store, you get an icon, you get the name of your game, and you get a small subtitle. And
so basically the thumbnail of the game needs to be very important, yeah.
You need to make the entire case for someone to click your game based on those things, but more importantly, you don't have to make anything else. You're not trying to sell your whole game on that, you're just trying to sell them to tap on the icon.
Clickbait,
and
I guess.
So when you're designing an icon, you can think about like, what do I need and what do I not? What do you have to do that necessarily, but if you're putting face on your icon and everybody's already put you and then games, I want to make.
Okay, anyways, so that's it.
Do this stuff to make that work.
I think the most important part of the video is this right here, guys. God damn it! Control-Shift-T, get it back, get it back, get it back. Zoom out your thumbnail. What is the first read? What can you tell? And then what is the second read? The most important things. Like, what are visual cues that you can identify? Like, zooming out, if it's not too cluttered, then it's a good thumbnail. If it's too cluttered, redesign the thumbnail. That's the most important thing, because that's what people will see on Steam, and that's what will bring them to buy or not buy or click on your game. And the 1, 2, 3, the first 3 reads. Cakez TD. Okay, anyways, otherwise good video. If you want to watch it yourself and support GDC, you know, the more GDC talks you watch, by the way, you know, the better you get at making games, of course, because it's a muscle, right? You learn more and more, and then when you finally get to making your game after 500 episodes of GDC, that's when you make the best game ever that no one has ever seen before. That's how it works. Because you don't get better by making a game, you get better by watching videos about how to make games. How many videos are you on? I have all of them.